Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into self-improvement. You know, that thing we're all constantly working on. And to help us out, we've got this motivational podcast episode titled Aceptando mi viaje y mi nueva confianza.
Oh, cool. I actually gave that one a listen.
Yeah, so it's all in Spanish.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
But don't worry, we'll break it down for you. It translates to accepting my journey and my new confidence. Catchy, right?
Totally. And I think it gets right to the heart of what we're all about, really owning our personal journeys and building that unshakable self-confidence.
You know, what strikes me about this episode is how it makes accepting your journey like the first step.
Like the foundation.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen, but understanding how everything, the good and the bad, made you who you are today.
I think about that a lot. Like wishing things were different.
It's so easy to get stuck there.
Right. But this episode, it really challenges you to see the past not as baggage, but as, like, building blocks. Absolutely. And I think that shift in perspective is what brings freedom. It's like you're letting go of all those what-ifs and focusing on writing the next chapter intentionally.
Okay, that makes total sense. But then there's that fear thing, right? You know, fear of failure, rejection, all that. Have you ever felt that holding you back?
Oh, totally. Fear is like a universal experience. This episode dives deep into practical ways to deal with it. And it starts with, like you said, self-reflection.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Really taking time to figure out why you're afraid. It's like asking yourself, why, 5 times, digging deeper to get to the root of what's holding you back.
So it's not about ignoring the fear, but really understanding it.
Exactly. Once you understand the source, you can create a plan to tackle it. And the episode suggests all sorts of things. Relaxation, meditation, even therapy if you need it.
It's about finding what works for you, like your own personal toolkit.
Exactly. Everyone's different, right?
Totally. So as you start overcoming these fears, you build self-confidence. This episode really makes it clear that confidence is key for hitting your goals and living a fulfilling life.
And they talk about how self-confidence is a process, not like a switch you flip. It's like a muscle you got to keep working on.
That's interesting because I used to think you either had it or you didn't.
Right. Like it was just there or not.
Totally. But thinking of it as a journey makes way more sense.
Totally. And like any journey, it takes effort, consistency, and dealing with challenges.
I think that's so important. It's not about being confident 24/7, but being able to bounce back when things get tough.
And the episode has some really practical advice for that, like setting realistic goals and celebrating the small wins along the way.
It's like leveling up in a video game. Every little win pushes you forward. What about you? Any recent level ups in your life?
I actually started meditating every day, just 10 minutes, but it's made a huge difference in my focus and well-being.
That's awesome. A perfect example of how small things can lead to big changes. Now, the episode also talks about seeing mistakes as learning opportunities, something I've definitely struggled with. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's about changing your view. See mistakes as feedback instead of failures. Like that saying, you win or you learn.
Yeah. Every mistake is a chance to figure out what went wrong and try again.
Exactly. It's all part of growing. The episode also talks about having a supportive network of people who believe in you and encourage you to grow. That's like having your own cheerleading squad.
That's so important. Having people who celebrate with you, support you when things are tough, and give you honest feedback.
It makes all the difference. They also talk about self-compassion, being kind to yourself.
But what does that actually look like? It can be such a tricky concept.
Yeah. Self-compassion isn't just being nice to yourself. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend who was struggling.
It's about recognizing that you're human and you're going to make mistakes. And that's okay, especially in the world of self-improvement where we're always trying to be better.
It's so easy to forget that, right?
Totally. Now let's talk purpose. The episode links finding your purpose to accepting your journey and building confidence. But what do they mean by purpose? It can be such a big, confusing idea.
I know what you mean. It's easy to think purpose has to be this grand, world-changing thing.
Right. But this episode makes it feel more doable. They describe purpose as what gives your life meaning, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what keeps you going.
It's your driving force.
And it doesn't have to be this huge, ambitious goal. It can be being a great parent, a great friend, pursuing a hobby you love, anything that brings you joy.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what fits your values, your passions, and what you're good at.
I love that they emphasize it doesn't have to be some unattainable thing.
Yeah.
It's about making choices that align with what truly matters to you, even in the small moments.
Totally. And when your actions Match your purpose. You feel a deeper sense of fulfillment. Everything starts to fall into place.
Okay, I'm feeling super inspired. But let's be real, staying motivated can be hard. Life happens.
Yeah, for sure. The episode actually offers a bunch of strategies for staying motivated. One of the most powerful ones is visualization.
Okay, I've heard of that. But how do you make it actually work? I struggle to really picture it.
It's about engaging all your senses. Don't just see yourself achieving the goal, hear the sounds, smell the smells, feel it in your body.
Make it come alive in your mind.
Exactly. The more real it feels, the bigger the impact. And they also talk about the power of a positive mindset, focusing on the good.
That's easier said than done, especially with all the negativity around us. How do we do that when it feels like the world's against us?
It starts with being aware of your thoughts. Notice those negative patterns and make a choice to see things differently. Like, is there another way to look at this? Or what can I learn?
So it's about training yourself to see the possibilities instead of dwelling on the bad stuff.
Right. They also suggest finding inspiration. Like, read books, listen to podcasts, even look up to people you admire. Surround yourself with stories about success and resilience.
Like feeding your mind with positive things.
And let's not forget routine. They make it clear. Setting routines is huge for staying motivated and getting things done.
Routines give you structure and help you stay focused.
They make it easier to make progress towards your goals.
And finally, they talk about rewarding yourself, for your efforts and achievements.
It's about acknowledging your hard work. Celebrate those wins, even the small ones.
And a reward can be anything, right? Like a treat, a break, anything that feels good.
Exactly. It reinforces positive behavior and keeps you motivated. It's like giving yourself a pat on the back.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's take a quick break to absorb all this awesome information, and we'll be back to wrap up our deep dive and leave you with some final thoughts to chew on.
So before the break, we were talking about routines and rewards.
Yeah, and how they can really work together.
Right. Think about it. When you set up a routine, you're creating this structure for consistency.
Like a framework.
And within that framework, you can add in those little rewards to celebrate your progress and keep yourself going.
Oh, I see. So it becomes this positive feedback loop where effort leads to reward, which makes you want to keep putting in the effort.
Exactly. And it's not about those huge, expensive rewards either. It can be something small, like a cup of tea after finishing a tough task or taking a night off after a busy week.
Those little moments of self-care are important.
Totally. Taking care of yourself is key. Now, remember the episode talked about finding inspiration from different places?
Yeah, like books, podcasts, role models.
Right. And I think that's so important for staying motivated on this self-improvement journey. We can get so caught up in our own heads.
And our doubts and fears.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But when we see or hear about people who have overcome challenges and reached their goals, it can reignite that spark within us.
It's like, if they can do it, so can I.
And those stories can give you ideas, showing you different ways to succeed and reminding you there's no one right way.
It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Right. And inspiration doesn't always have to come from these huge, dramatic stories either. Sometimes it's the simple things.
Like what?
A beautiful sunset, a random act of kindness, a song that moves you. It's about being open to those little moments of beauty and realizing the good in the world and in yourself.
I love that, soaking up those good vibes. Now, let's go back to self-confidence for a minute. The episode really highlights how accepting your journey is the foundation for genuine self-confidence.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think for a long time, a lot of us thought confidence came from outside ourselves.
From achievements or what others think of us.
Exactly. Like we need to prove our worth.
And that's why accepting your journey is so important.
It's about letting go of needing those external things and just being okay with who you are right now, flaws and all.
It's realizing that your worth doesn't depend on what you do or what people think.
And when you can embrace yourself fully, that's when real self-confidence starts to grow.
Because you're not looking for approval from outside anymore.
You find it inside yourself.
And from that place of self-acceptance, you can start to build on the qualities you want to develop, learn new skills, work towards goals.
But it all starts with that foundation of self-love.
That's such a powerful idea. Shifting from self-criticism to self-compassion.
And the episode offers ways to actually do that.
Like what?
They talk about setting realistic goals, celebrating small wins, seeing mistakes as learning experiences, and building a supportive network.
It's creating this upward spiral where every step forward builds momentum and strengthens your belief in yourself.
But it's important to remember this self-improvement journey isn't a straight line.
There are going to be bumps in the road.
Moments of doubt, setbacks that test your determination.
It's like driving on a winding road. You might take a wrong turn, feel lost for a bit.
But the important thing is to keep moving forward, trust the process, and remember those wrong turns might lead you to something unexpected.
It's about being open to the unknown and realizing the path you planned might not be the path you end up taking.
And that's okay. It's about trusting your gut feeling and letting something bigger guide you.
Something bigger than our own limited view.
Exactly. And through it all, remember you have the power to choose how you react to challenges, obstacles, or opportunities for growth.
It's all about perspective.
Right. That choice can completely change how you experience the journey. I'm curious, what are some challenges you faced in your self-improvement journey, and how have you dealt with them?
Well, one of the biggest things for me has been dealing with that inner critic, that voice saying you're not good enough or you'll never do it.
Oh yeah, that inner critic is tough.
It can be so easy to get caught up in those negative thoughts and let them sabotage everything.
And for me, one of the best ways to handle that has been self-compassion. When those thoughts pop up, instead of judging myself or pushing them away, I try to be kind and understanding.
So it's like treating yourself the way you'd treat a friend who's struggling.
Exactly. And that change in perspective can make a huge difference. It lets you acknowledge those negative thoughts without letting them control you. It creates space for acceptance and helps you move forward with more clarity and purpose.
I like that. It's acknowledging that we're all works in progress.
And trusting that even when we have doubts, there's something deeper inside guiding us towards our potential.
This conversation has been so insightful. We've uncovered so much wisdom and practical advice for embracing our journey and building self-confidence.
And there's still more to explore in this episode.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for a quick break to let everything sink in. We'll be back soon to wrap things up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder as you continue your own amazing journey of self-discovery and transformation. All right, we're back, ready to wrap up this amazing deep dive into aceptando mi viaje y mi nueva confianza.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
It really has. As we've talked about accepting our journeys and building that self-confidence, it's really hit me how connected those two things are.
I believe they go hand in hand.
Exactly. And this episode, it weaves them together so well. We've explored all these things. Facing fears, finding purpose, being kind to ourselves.
It all comes down to embracing who we are right now, in this moment, and using that as our starting point for growth.
And that's so empowering, right? It means we're not waiting for someone else to tell us it's okay to go after our dreams.
We realize we have the power to create the life we want.
That's huge, especially in a world that's always telling us to be different, to achieve more, to want more stuff.
This episode flips that script.
Yeah, it reminds us that true happiness comes from inside ourselves.
And from embracing the whole journey. The ups and downs, the twists and turns.
It's in those experiences that we learn and grow and discover what we're truly capable of.
Totally.
So as we wrap things up, what are some of the key takeaways that really stuck with you? What will you carry with you on your own self-improvement journey?
Honestly, self-compassion was huge for me. I'm still working on it, but I see how important it is for making real, lasting progress.
Because if you're always beating yourself up, it just makes things harder.
Exactly. It drains your energy and makes it so hard to move forward.
Like you're fighting yourself.
Yeah. And self-compassion is about stopping that fight. It's about being understanding and kind even when you make mistakes.
Which allows you to learn from them and keep going.
Exactly. Another thing that really resonated was visualization. I used to be skeptical, but the way they talked about it in the episode made sense.
So it's not just wishful thinking.
Right. It's about creating a super clear picture in your mind of what you want and using that to drive your actions.
Harnessing the power of your imagination to map out your success.
And it's about believing, truly believing that you can do what you set out to do.
And that belief, that self-confidence, comes from embracing your journey and recognizing your inherent worth.
It's about letting go of needing external validation and finding that worthiness inside yourself.
And that's a journey we can all take. So as we close out this deep dive, here's a thought to leave you with. We've learned so much about accepting our journey and building self-confidence, but the real work starts now.
It's time to put all this great advice into action.
Exactly. What's one small step you can take today to move forward on your journey? Maybe it's trying that visualization technique or speaking kindly to yourself instead of criticizing.
Even the smallest actions can make a big difference.
That's so true. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of self-discovery and transformation. Keep embracing your path, keep believing in yourself, and keep shining brightly.